All right, what's up, my brothers from another mother? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching this from. It's currently December the 19th. I got in the office early again this morning, so I wanted to do another video on blockchain and cryptocurrency. You guys know that I've been applying the red pill lens to quite a bit of stuff in intergender relationships in the last couple of years because I like to see the world as it truly is. And when I go down the rabbit hole, I tend to go down deep and far to kind of explain things and make myself more aware. And of course, those of you that are watching my stuff, I know a lot of you guys have got a ton of value out of the last year or so, and I'm not going to change uploading those sorts of videos and answering questions in that space, but I want to apply that same red pill lens to money, blockchain technology, and of course cryptocurrency. So last week I did a video, was received quite well. I'm going to try to get this out in about 10 or 15 minutes just to kind of update you on a few new things that I've come across that I think you'll find some use in. Let's start, actually, let me minimize this over here and go to, so the video last week got a ton of comments. Thank you for the feedback. Appreciate what everybody has said. Let's go to CoinMarketCap here. Last week when I did the video, market cap was, I think it was about $5.25 billion. And a lot of people in the comments, actually about half of the people when I did a survey on the page, let me see if I can grab it here, community tab. So on this tab over here, I don't think you guys could see this because I tried to check the results, but most people don't get cryptocurrencies. About 73% say it's either a bubble or a scam, or they're sitting on the sideline because they don't get it. So that was the actual result of that that I put up. It was 6 days ago. Got almost 2,000 replies on it, so I'd say that's a fairly accurate representation of what people's understanding is. By the way, smash the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos, and also in the community timeline feed so you can participate and stuff like that. So going back over here, most people are still out of the market. They're either sitting on the sideline, they're saying it's a scam, yet it continues to grow. I mean, it grew close to 75, 80, billion dollars in the course of a week, which is, it might sound like a lot, it might sound like a bubble, but it really isn't, and I'll explain why in a second. I'm just going to kind of scroll across the top here with my tabs. I want to share some useful tools and resources that I think you should check out. This video here has been recommended to me by quite a few of my friends that are heavily involved in the cryptocurrency space. Andreas Antonopoulos. He's not a guy that advocates buying certain coins or trading them or anything like that. He's more about the technology and what opportunities lie ahead in the future. The thing about the technology is it is so useful and so broad when it comes to blockchain. You can use it for things like ensuring that disaster relief money gets to the people that actually need it, rather than the companies that scrape off like 80% of it. You can use it for things like voting, to get more people, voting for, better politicians and policies and things like that. So it goes well beyond just, money or the storage of money. So check out his YouTube channel. It's AANT. Well, it's right there. You can just look it up. But it's Andreas Antonopoulos. Guy's really well spoken, and he breaks it down in simple terms that even a pleb like I can completely understand. All right, moving on. I shared something like this. I think it was this image on my Instagram page. It's entrepreneurs_in_cars if you want to follow me there. But I just wanted to pull this up. It's the purchasing power of the US dollar over time. And this graphic here beautifully illustrates it. So let's go back over here. This is paper money. This is what is supposed to make the world go around. On this Canadian $20 bill, we've got the Queen, who doesn't look very happy. That's kind of a little bit of a bitchy resting face, I suppose. But I wouldn't be happy either if this was worth less over time. I could take this, fold it up, put it under my mattress, and next year its buying power is less. And it's by design. Central banks, government, they basically design it that way to keep us spending money on dumb shit, because if we hold on to it, it loses value. So it's why they try to encourage you to either blow it, or they create these ridiculous investment, products, bonds, GICs, just these, bullshit riffraff type of products that really don't serve, humanity that well. Let me just minimize this and I'll go back to the chart and explain what's happened here. So since paper money was introduced, and it's been around for a while, like, let's be honest here, most people don't know this, but most people would have carried around little bags of coins, gold and silver coins, copper coins, things like that. And rather than carry around heavy bags of coins, they decided to issue paper money. So somebody would of course, go into a bank and they would exchange their bag of coins. Here you go. And they would say, here, take this paper money. And it's a note. And they would walk around with it and they would buy stuff with it. And they would get change in exchange with paper money. So it comes with problems. Of course, it devalues over time. It's easy to counterfeit. It comes with a whole slew of problems. But the thing is that the government controls it. It's fiat currency. Paper money is fiat currency. It's not even paper anymore. It's more plastic and rubbery now, but that's what it is. So over time, its buying power completely, diminishes. And I'll explain why in just one second. But there were two big instances over time. It was 1933 where it first slightly got disconnected from gold, but it really got slapped when Nixon in 1971, it was called closing the gold window, where essentially in the past prior to that, they had to have a certain amount of gold on deposit, and they would only print money that was of equivalent value to the gold. Then in 1971, they basically had economic problems, so they said, well, we'll just invent new laws that will solve that. Let's unpin it from the gold we have on deposit and print whatever the fuck we want, whenever we want. So now today when there's problems, they just go, hey, Tony, print up some more paper. And, they bring out stacks of this shit and they put it in the economy, and it's supposed to stimulate things. So that's the purchasing power of paper money over time. It just doesn't go up. It doesn't have a lot of value to hold it, which is not the point of it. It's really designed as a medium of exchange, and it works well. Last night, for example, I was at I took my team out for dinner and we went axe throwing, and just for giggles, when we went to the counter and I paid for the events, I said to the guy, can I pay in Bitcoin? And he said, no. I said, well, how do you accept payment? He said, well, it's on a tablet and it's linked to a Shopify store. And I can't remember what the credit card processing unit was, but anyway, it was linked to a credit card. So it's not that effective as a means of buying power currently. Not that you can't buy stuff with it, it's just not that effective. It's not adopted mainstream, which is why I still believe cryptos have a fairly vertical or parabolic growth curve that's going to happen for another 6 to 12 months. I wanted to show you one more thing here. So there was one on here that compared circulation versus buying power. I don't think it's in this chart. I might have lost it, but it essentially looks something like this. The buying power of the US dollar goes down, and then the amount that's printed and goes into circulation goes up. So as you print more of it, it devalues the paper money. So I wanted to go over this over here to kind of put it in perspective. This is kind of a a graphic or an infographic that was created back in July. This is one of the things that really drew my attention to cryptocurrency, and I'm kicking myself in the butt for not getting into it back in the summertime, but hindsight's always 20/20. So at the time, Bitcoin had a market cap of 41 billion, and where are we right now? Bitcoin is at 306. So it's grown significantly since the summertime, and it's got a lot of room to grow in. And this graphic will explain why. This is not to scale. So this little dot over here is not to scale, because gold over here is 200 times market cap of Bitcoin, for example, at this time. So that bubble would be massive. But to put it in perspective, Apple, for example, so one company listed on the stock exchanges that has $730 billion in cash. I think it's sitting in Ireland. They don't want to bring it in North America because they're going to get taxed on it. But they're sitting on $730 billion. So one company in itself has more monetary value. Where did the crypto page go? Than Bitcoin itself. The entire market is 600 billion. Apple is, what was it, 700 billion? Sorry, 730 billion. It's probably gone up, since then for them. But it plays such a tiny role in the marketplace and where people have been shoving money. Now, the reason why it's been going vertical and been going parabolic is because more people are taking notice of it. It's an excellent store of value. If you were to compare how well, actually, there's a really good way to compare crypto store of value to paper money, because there's a coin called Tether. Tether is a very interesting coin. It's almost always 1.00, so they've got to make an adjustment here. But if you go to the website, let's just open this up here. Tether is a cryptocurrency that they created basically for payment processing. So almost like a credit card, Interact sort of thing. but it's pinned to the value of the US dollar. So it's 100% backed one-to-one by traditional currency held by bank reserves. So one US dollar is always equivalent to one Tether. So going back over here, if we go to this chart, so this green line over here, over time, you can see it's pretty consistent. And this over here is the price to one US dollar. So above is, plus, $1.03 or whatever, let's say. Like over here, it's $1.02, 99 cents. You can see it kind of bounces up and down a little bit, but they have to correct it to pin it one-to-one to the dollar. This line over here is the price of a Bitcoin. So the value of Tether, since they launched it, as I slide this across here over time, you can see its purchasing power versus Bitcoin stinks. And that's essentially what paper money is to cryptocurrency. It sucks. It doesn't store value very well. It doesn't go up in value. Cryptocurrency does, though. If I go back to Coinbase here, by the way, guys, I put a link because those of you that were asking about how do I get in, where do I get started, I still think this is one of the easiest places to get started if you want to buy into the market. You just basically, there's a link below in the description. If you click the link and buy $100 US in crypto, you'll get $10 in Bitcoin for free. So will I. If it's Canadian, you'll have to spend about 128 or about, I think it's about 130. And then we'll both get $10 worth of Bitcoin for free. So use that link if you want to get started somewhere. But this is the graph here of Bitcoin over the course of 1 year. It's up 2,000%. Ethereum is another interesting coin which incorporates smart contracts, which allows for transactions to happen along with the currency. And Litecoin's very, very similar to Bitcoin, but it actually has a lot of advantages. It's a lot faster. The cost to transact, to send money is also a lot cheaper too. So you can see this has done very, very well in the last year. And again, a lot of people go, it's a bubble. Sure, it looks like a bubble, but let me go back to, where's the market thing here? I've got so many bubble things here open. I'm going to start closing some of these to make room. Andreas, yeah, here it is. Okay. So again, lots and lots and lots of space to grow. We're only at 600 billion, and Apple as a company has more money in cash than the entire market combined right now. And yes, there's 1,369 coins. Most of them are absolutely garbage. They really are. There's only a handful that will be brought forward in future. I don't have a crystal ball. A lot of guys ask for predictions and what do you think is going to happen. And I even had a coaching call last week with somebody that wanted to get some more insight from me. But I don't have a crystal ball. Nobody does. Anybody that claims that they can tell you what things are going to look like in the future is a liar. They're selling you some shit. It's snake oil. So, use your intuition, use your senses, use your wits about you. Watch out for scams. Ponzi schemes, by the way, there's a few of them on the blockchain right now. Let me just find the one that really stands out the most is BitConnect. I've mentioned this before. Go to YouTube, watch videos on BitConnect, and you'll see why it's a scam. They guarantee a return, and the very definition of a Ponzi scheme is guaranteeing a rate of return. It's not possible. You can't do it. These things will collapse. So stay away from anything that's guaranteeing you a steady rate of return. Not a good thing. All right, let's close up Tether. Let's close up Andreas over here. We're done with Coinbase. Some of you did ask me how to fund or sell, because Coinbase does not let you sell in Canada. I know you can in the US. I heard the feature's coming in the future, but you'll need to open up a Quadriga account if you're in Canada. Again, link for that below. So it's pretty straightforward to set up, but you'll be able to fund the account and connect it to your bank account when you want to day trade. If you want to get into more complex things, like trading what are known as the shit coins, all of these, down over here, you'll probably want to open up something like Bittrex, which is a little more complicated. So let me go down here. Like Verge is a coin that I like that I just bought last week. It's done pretty good. Where is it? It's around in the 20s. Here it is. So this one here. So if you find a coin here on CoinMarketCap and you want to learn more about it, you're going to go to Markets on the tab over here, and it'll tell you which markets trade it. You want to find a market that has good volume so you can load and unload the coin fairly easily. And again, don't ask me for any kind of investment advice or why. Educate yourself. All you have to do is click the website. All the links are there. It tells you exactly what the coin is about and why it might be useful. I find YouTube fairly useful as well, because there's some good channels out there, which I mentioned in the last video, which kind of break down these up-and-coming ones that might have some potential impact in the future. This one here is basically a super fast coin that can be used for anonymous or non-anonymous transactions. It's decentralized, which is what you want. You don't want any kind of cryptocurrency that's in a centralized place. So like Tether, for example, I believe would be centralized because it has to be pinned to the US dollar. You want to avoid those because, I mean, the whole reason why the blockchain was created is because people got so frustrated and fed up with the way that the banking system's been working and the way the government, treats people and manipulates things. Somebody said to me last week, or I think it was a tweet, and it was something along the lines of, Bitcoin's the real Occupy Wall Street. So all these people that are like have camped out on Wall Street, march with signs and shit like that, if you want to vote, if you want to send a message, vote with your decision-making power in your wallet. Cryptocurrency is where you want to go if you want to show the banks and government and credit card companies what you think of their policies and procedures. There's nothing, I don't think, that can really slow this down or stop it. They're probably going to legislate and regulate it. Like, they'll find ways to tax people and put in regulations at choke points, which will be the exchanges. So when you want to buy and sell and move it around, that's one of the problems with it, that and the safety issues of theft. Oh, by the way, you guys asked me in the last video what I use for storing my crypto. It's called a nano ledger. Looks like that. I don't know if you can read that. There you go. There's a link in the description below as well, and in the pinned comment. And it looks very similar to a USB. It's got a digital kind of screen. So when you plug it in, there's two buttons on the top. And what I do is I store my cryptocurrency on this device. A lot of coins you can't a lot of the altcoins, so the shit coins, you can't store on here just because they don't have it set up. Where did it go? Right over here. Minimize that. Sorry guys, I'm getting used to doing things this way. So most of these 1,369 coins you can't store on here. I think it was probably about 20, maybe 25 or so. So the main ones you can put on here. But you don't want to leave your crypto on wallets because it's centralized. The reason why they create stuff like this is you connect it to the blockchain, you get your coins, you store your private keys on here. It's yours. Nobody can steal it. Theft happens in centralized locations. It happens on exchanges, so where people are buying and selling crypto and they leave their coins there. It can happen on places like even Coinbase if you leave too much money on there. But a couple $100 isn't that big a deal. But if you've accumulated some wealth in crypto, keep it on something like these. These are super cheap. I think it's about $60 odd on Amazon. Again, the link is in the description below if you want to get one of these and store your crypto on it. It is the safest way to do it. This is disconnected from the network. Nobody can steal this shit. If you leave your money on an exchange, they can steal it. That's why you hear about theft and hacking and stuff like that, which is one of the things that prevented me from getting into Bitcoin or crypto in the past. But again, hindsight's always 20/20. You always come to learn these things afterwards. Applying the red pill lens to all this sort of stuff. Where are we going here? So I mentioned Quadriga because you guys asked me about that. This is another interesting story. Like, you'll see stories like this pop up. There's a guy that was apparently arrested for selling Chuck E. Cheese tokens as Bitcoin. Take stuff with a grain of salt when it comes to the news and, stuff that's all out there. Educate yourself, open your eyes. I've given you some really good resources here in this video, and I tried to answer some of the questions that you guys asked me in the past. Again, I'm not an expert. I am the furthest thing from an expert. I've pointed to some incredibly smart people in this video and the last one. I've also provided you some links, which I think you'll get some value out of if you want to begin. Coinbase is a good place to start. If you're in Canada, Quadriga is where you can fund your accounts or sell your crypto if you want to convert them back to fiat currency, this nonsense. But it's a good store of value, and I think it's going to continue to be a good store of value. I wouldn't be surprised if the entire coin market cap by next week, or let's say by the end of the month, it's currently the 19th, is 700 billion. And we're coming up on $1 trillion. Have we earned it? Probably not, but there's a whole lot of promise in what we're looking at here, and the technology, the underlying technology of what we're looking at here is just, it's great. So, I mean, just look at what's going on. Use your, use your head, think clearly when you're making these purchases. And I guess last but not least, don't put anything into this that you can't afford to lose, that you're not going to lose sleep over at night. But start. Just starting will get your feet wet. You'll get an understanding of how the markets work, what moves them when they go up and down. It just gets you to understand. One of the things that I found incredibly frustrating myself and actually frightening was the length of time that it takes to transact. This will be the last thing that I'll leave before I wrap up. Was the length of time that it takes to transact. So on Quadriga, which I pointed out over here, I transferred money in. I bought some Bitcoin, and then I transferred the Bitcoin to an exchange to buy what's called the shitcoins, Verge, which is the one that I mentioned before, the one that I liked. And from the time that I hit submit to send the payment from my Quadriga wallet to the exchange wallet, literally took about 45 minutes. The network is working at relative capacity for Bitcoin. It's a really good store of value, but it doesn't move very fast. So from the time that I hit send to the time that it was received, because you hit send and it says sent, and then you wait and you hit refresh, and you hit refresh in 5 minutes and in 10 minutes and 15 minutes, and it's still not there, and you're like, where the fuck did my money go? Is it still there? Is it gonna get there? So it's very uncomfortable to push buttons to move what you work really hard for to move around. But when you understand the underlying technology behind it and why it's so incredibly safe and how hard it is to hack the blockchain, I mean, to put it in perspective, it costs you more money to hack the blockchain than the value of any currency you could get out of the blockchain. And I think it would take at least 20 minutes for me to explain it. I'd probably screw it up, but that's my understanding watching Andreas Antonopoulos' videos. So I'll leave it at that with today's video. Leave a comment below. Again, there's some links in the description for some useful stuff if you want to get started. Coinbase, Quadriga, and Ledger Nano. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any recommendations or suggestions, leave them in the comments below and help the community grow. What else can I say? If you want to support the creation of the work on this channel for Red Pill Awareness, go become a Patreon. Link is always in the description below. There's a number of tiers, rewards. You can join the private Facebook community where we talk about a lot of stuff, not just women or money or becoming a better version of yourself or strength training or anything like that. There's those areas. There's the areas of the private Q&As that I do for my Patrons, and the once a month piece of premium content which goes very, very deep and revealing on a particular subject, which my guys have gotten a ton of value out of. I also have a coaching client on the top tier. I'm helping him grow his business. So if that's something that interests you, link is also in the description. Thanks for checking out today's video. I hope you have an amazing one. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.